Doll's house. Sophie sat at her little desk, colouring a picture of a house with a pointed roof and 4 windows in each corner of the square wall, and a door in the middle with a black knob. She had that kind of face that would sulk at any time, even though everyone said she had the cutest cornflower blue eyes and curly blonde hair. Her lips were pressed tight as he shut out her mother's words. She was wearing her best white cardigan with pink rabbit-shaped buttons. She was a rather clumsy girl because she was always running and falling over. She told everyone she was 9 3/4 and would soon be 10. "Are you listening to me, young lady?" said her mother, almost shouting. Sophie nodded. The only sounds were the rubbing of a green pencil, shading in an egg-shaped treetop, and the chirruping of a bird outside in a real tree in their back garden. Sophie could think only of her birthday, 2 days away. Daddy should be home any minute. No sooner had her father come through the front door, Sophie ran up to him, threw her arms around his neck, and kissed his rough cheek. He whisked a plastic bag from behind his back and said, "Here you are, sweetheart." "Is this my birthday present?" asked Sophie, hoping that it was. "You spoil that girl," said Sophie's mother. Her father said nothing, but grinned as he watched Sophie pull out the box and pull everything else that was inside the bag. It was a doll with a complete set of clothes and shoes. But the doll was as bold as a shiny bauble that you decorate the Christmas tree with. Sophie frowned. "Why hasn't she got any hair, Daddy?" she asked. Her father pointed to a row of objects under the set of clothes. They were wigs. He said that the doll could have any wig she wanted to match her clothes. Sophie couldn't wait to open her present and dress the doll up for the evening. "You can open it after tea," Sophie's mother warned. Sophie ignored her and scampered up to her bedroom. She couldn't wait to show her best friend, Jessica, her new doll. The next day, a little girl in a blue t-shirt and denim trousers with fancy embroidery on the waistband skipped up the street. Her white trainers scuffed the pavement, and her ginger ponytail bobbed up and down in time to her skipping. The front garden gate was open, so she kept on skipping up the concrete path and stopped at the dark brown front door. She pressed the doorbell button and waited. She could hear someone hurrying excitedly towards the door. The door was opened with such force that it banged against the wall, making the knocker rattle. Sophie smiled, not because she was glad to see her friend Jessica, but because she had the chance to show off her present. "Hi, Jessica. Come on up. I've got something to show you," Sophie said, turning away to hurry up the stairs to her bedroom. Jessica followed and was beginning to feel a little jealous. She held out at arm's length a blonde, curly-haired doll wearing a shiny green evening dress and a silver-coloured plastic necklace. Jessica thought her friend wanted to take the doll to have a look, so she reached for it. Sophie took the doll back with such a jerk that the blonde wig fell off. Jessica burst out laughing. "It's not funny," Sophie yelled as she picked up the wig. Jessica chuckled even louder. "It's my house and my doll, and if you keep on laughing, I'll never let you see my dolls ever again. Never, ever." "All right," said Jessica, putting her hand over her mouth and trying very hard not to giggle. Then excitedly she said, "Guess what? I've got a doll's tea set, and my daddy's built this great big doll's house. Do you want to come and see?" Sophie nodded. "First, we'll go to my house to get the tea set, and then we'll go to the doll's house," Jessica said. Sophie thought it was strange that they would go to the doll's house. She held her doll tightly in one hand, and with her other hand she pressed the blonde wig to the doll's head. The girls rushed downstairs and out of the house, slamming the front door so hard that the door knocker rattled a goodbye. Two miles away was a school. In each classroom, children were writing and counting, drawing, colouring, cutting, gluing, chatting and giggling, mumbling, sulking, smiling and scowling, and not learning very much at all. Mrs. Lewis looked up at the children from her table at the front and remembered she would tell them a story. However, another teacher had borrowed the storybook that the class loved. She clapped her hands, and the children let fall their pens and coloured pencils on their desks and listened. "Okay, I have to go to Mrs. Kent's class to get the storybook. I'll only be gone a few moments, but I want you to be on your best behaviour," said Mrs. Lewis. She looked at the children over her yellow-rimmed spectacles. "Christine," she said, "watch the class and make sure no one talks. If anybody does talk, write their name on the whiteboard," she said, handing Christine a blue whiteboard marker. "Be quiet, or there'll be no story for anyone." Miss Lewis left the room. The children began whispering. Christine stood at the front of the class and wrote nothing. Suddenly, they felt the whole building shake. "Nice, aren't they?" said Jessica, who showed Sophie the doll's tea service. The cups, saucers and plates were neatly arranged beneath a cellophane wrapping in their box. All the pieces were white with gold rims round the edges, and were made of plastic. "Daddy got them for me," she went on. "They were really expensive. They cost pounds and pounds and pounds. Look!" She showed Sophie the price label on the box. £7.99. Sophie felt a little jealous, but she turned her thoughts to the lovely doll she held in her hand, and the other hand holding the blonde wig on the bald head. They came to the entrance of a small park. A grey pathway curved between large patches of newly cut grass. The girls enjoyed the smell of the grass and the remains of the morning's dew on it. There was a low hill with pine trees on it. They too had a fresh smell, like the bathroom in Sophie's house. "There it is," said Jessica, pointing to a little concrete building next to the path near the low hill. "What's that?" asked Sophie. "My doll's house, silly," said Jessica. "That doesn't look much like a doll's house." "Why not?" "Well, it doesn't have a proper roof." "What do you mean?" "Well, it's flat. It's not red and pointed." "So what if it isn't?" "And it's got too many windows." "I don't care. It's my doll's house, and my daddy made it for me, so there." No one in the classroom was taking any notice of Christine, nor was Christine keeping order as her teacher had asked her to. Instead, the children screamed and shrieked, cried and wailed. Most of the children were huddled under their desks. They thought there was going to be an earthquake. In fact, there was an earthquake. and as the earth shook, terrific high-pitched noises attacked the children's ears. The youngsters put their hands over their ears, but still the noises made the pens and pencils on their desks clatter. The children could hardly hear themselves screaming as the noises outside grew louder and louder. Suddenly, the wall where the windows were came open like a huge door. The children shrieked and wailed again. Then they saw a very strange thing. The enormous bald head came into the class from where the wall had been. The children came up from their desks and scurried towards the opposite wall, which still seemed safe and solid. Horrified, they all turned round like one person to see the head and shoulders of a mysterious figure ploughing through rows of desks. The children were too panic-stricken to notice the figure's bare shoulders, her silver-coloured plastic necklace, and the shiny green evening dress. Then the deafening noises started again. With the box containing the doll's tea set under her arm, Jessica could not help giggling as she watched Sophie try to put the doll into an upstairs room in the doll's house. She rammed the doll's head in and felt something stopping it from going any further. "It's too big," Jessica remarked between giggles. "It won't fit." Sophie twisted the doll half a turn, thinking that might solve the problem of settling the doll in a cosy spot in the house. She looked back at her friend and scowled. "Well, someone's left loads of stuff in there. She won't go in," Sophie replied. "No, let me put the cups and saucers in first." "I want to put my doll in first, but I can't," whined Sophie. "I don't care. It's my doll's house, and my daddy made it for me, so there." Sophie felt so angry that she snatched the doll's tea service from under her friend's arm, flung it onto the ground, and stamped on it. "Now look what you've done! They cost pounds and pounds and pounds! I hate you!" Sophie pushed Jessica in the chest. Jessica squealed, and with a flash of her hand thrust Sophie backwards, knocking her over. For a few seconds, Sophie grizzled. "Serves you right, you silly nit!" Jessica spat. Sophie got back on her feet, brushed off some of the cut grass from her white cardigan, and she slammed the doll's house shut and kicked in a pair of glass doors on the ground floor of the doll's house. Jessica was speechless, but before she could call Sophie horrid and mean and kick donkey, Jessica noticed that Sophie's right sock was red. She had cut her toe on the glass door. Confused, Jessica ran away. Sophie burst into tears, and her sobbing drowned out the sounds of emergency vehicle sirens from the main road in the distance. 2 fire engines and 2 ambulances pulled up outside the school. Surveying the hole where the main entrance had been, the fire chief immediately ordered a crew to bring iron supports to hold the wall up in case it collapsed. He could hear the shrieks and screams of the children from an upper floor. Then he saw a weird thing. Out of one of the classroom windows upstairs was a long pair of pink legs. The crew was scrambling through the broken glass and loose bricks. Upstairs, a large pink bald head of an enormous doll rested on the classroom floor. It stared with wide, pale blue eyes up at the ceiling with a faint smile on its thin red lips. A long pair of plastic legs were still sticking out of the window. Then the classroom door was forced open and in walked Miss Lewis. "Look at this mess," she began, I can't leave you alone for 2 minutes, can I? You can't be trusted to behave yourselves when I'm out of the room. Then she collapsed.